Today, I would like to talk about raising children who have anxiety. Several years ago, I attended a presentation by Alex Russell he entitled it The Big Bad World, Helping Kids Thrive in Anxious Times. And what he argued was that anxiety in children is on the rise. More medications are being prescribed. New disorders such as school refusal are appearing. And even among children not diagnosed with the disorder, children are appearing increasingly daunted by the task of taking on the world around them. When this is happening, of course, it's hard for parents also to not get very anxious, but this only tends to make things worse. Parent and child become an anxiety reverberation machine. So instead, this workshop from Russell took a health-focused approach in which childhood anxiety was understood as a necessary building block of adaptation and an essential gateway to a child's creative engagement with the world. In other words, anxiety is necessary for our kids to grow up. So the parents in the crowd in this presentation gained an understanding of the need to slowly shift the burden of responsibility onto their children as they grow, something that helps children take on anxiety adaptively. At the same time, they experience a sense of mastery and competence that such growth generates. So what am I saying? Well, when a child is born, 100% of their care and their well-being lies with their parents. But as they mature, more and more responsibility should be placed on a child. And ideally, as hard as this is for us as parents to do, by the time a child is 18 and ready to move off to post-secondary education or into the workforce, they should be able to be responsible for themselves. So we cannot expect a situation to work where parents are 80 or 90% responsible for their child in grade 12, and then all of a sudden the next year the child has to be responsible and live on their own and do everything without parental involvement. So in order to get there, for example, by the beginning of grade 7, parents shouldn't be taking responsibility for their child's homework. Because again, if we remain vigilant on behalf of our children until they are in grade 12, we are setting up our children for failure in their post-secondary studies. And often what happens is parents and teachers toss the hot potato of anxiety back and forth. And the one person who is not anxious is the student. And yet it's the student that should be anxious for their homework, for their grades, for their decisions that they are making. So if we are over anxious for our children or students, they start trying to please us and do the right thing only when we are watching. If we can keep mom and dad happy, I'm good. If I can keep the teacher happy, I'm good. But what about keeping themselves accountable? And poor decisions quickly become evident outside the realm of parent or teacher control. So one way to help our children become intrinsically anxious in a healthy way is to allow them to experience non-catastrophic consequences for their decisions. Russell suggested, when parents have concerns about their child's performance in school, that they call the teacher with a 3-part message. 1, thank you, and we trust you. 2, here's what we are noticing / concerned about with our child. And 3, please follow through with appropriate consequences for our child's poor choices. And that sounds so easy, but as a parent and as a teacher, I know that feeling when we want to swoop in and rescue our child or our student. I have to remind myself that I am hindering, not helping when I do this. I keep telling myself that non-catastrophic consequences are a good thing. Puppy dog eyes and tears and pouts, they can be emotionally convincing. But Russell's right. We need to develop healthy handling of anxiety in our children and our students.